Welcome to another great episode of Heakicks and Hayakers, everybody. Welcome, fight fans. I am your boy Bodkins. Witt will be joining us just shortly. He's running behind. But nonetheless, we wanted to go ahead and start getting started. Shout out to my guy Tanner, hooking up the layouts and the new intro. We look a little bit more official tonight. Witt will be joining us shortly. It is our UFC 302 post show. So we will talk all about UFC 302. And then also we'll also talk about 303. We'll break down this week's Louisville card at UFC in Louisville this weekend, headlined by none other than Jared Cannonier versus Nasruddin Imanov. Cannonier's been out for a while, coming back. I believe he had like a partial torn ACL, so he's out. If you remember, like Cannonier's really right up there as far as like the who's who in the middleweight division. I mean, he has a win over Sean Strickland, the former champ. Has not fought DDP, lost to Izzy. So if you're looking at like those top guys, he has faced them all. Lost to Robert Whitaker. We know Whitaker will fight here in a few 2 weeks time or so, in a few weeks time against Khamzat Chimaev. So like that, this whole middleweight, lot to be jockeying in that middleweight division. But nonetheless, a lot to get into tonight. UFC 30, but we'll start with I don't know whether we should start with UFC 303 or 302. Let's go ahead and we'll start with before we we'll bring in Witt is here, so we'll bring in Witt. Witt, what is up, my guy? All dressed in black.
It's a funeral today, right? Two funerals.
We will get into the funeral as well. But with like the MMA community has been a buzz the last 2 days, 2.5 days. It seems all week really since Monday when we woke up and realized that this Conor McGregor presser that we were supposed to have in Ireland is canceled, and the internet's going to internet with. And the UFC didn't do any favors by coming out saying anything. Then it was reported that ESPN took down like the pre-buy of 303. You couldn't buy it off ESPN. They were taking down Conor McGregor fights off of their YouTubes, their socials. So it was like, man, what's going on here? Ariel Helwani reports on Monday, like, hey, it's not anything drug-related, alcohol-related, party-related. Then people are thinking, oh, shit, Conor's hurt. Poor Mike Chandler. But then, and the internet's still cooking because the internet's going to internet. But it looks like what Ariel Helwani reported today on the MMA Hour is that everything is going to be okay. A lot of optimism. The UFC did what they were supposed to. They reached out and seen like, hey, can we fix this card if Conor can't go? Was reaching out to different people, maybe, a BMF fight, maybe this fight. What can we do? Because this card, if you take away Conor and Chandler, there's not a whole lot left on this card. There's some intriguing fights, but not a card you want to pay $80 to on pay-per-view for. But none, and nonetheless, all the people that paid thousands of dollars to buy tickets, for the gate, they would. It's in their bylines. If they change the main event, they have to refund the money. So obviously They don't want to do that because that's a shit ton of money. Not that they can't afford it, but nonetheless, looks like everything is a go right now for Conor versus Chandler at UFC 303.
BJ, I'm on the show. Hey, what's up, brother? Wow.
He wants to check in on the Conor card. He's,
Yeah, I know. He wants shout out to BJ. Everybody, he's asking me what lights, BJ? On the what? Your mom's got it. I'll go back there. She'll fix it for you, buddy. Okay, so wild situation, bro. I woke up expecting to possibly look at a fight presser. Excited about it. I know me and you talked about it. And all of a sudden, everywhere there was Conor slander. like you mentioned, the internet's going to internet, and somehow, some way, man, it really it took the air out of the balloon. You know what I mean? Like, not again, or oh, what could happen now? When I read something that one of the guys I follow on TikTok and Twitter put in there, he basically was saying that the contract obligations, or the obligations that ESPN and other social media, internet websites may have had towards the event, once those are broken, that's why everything got stripped. That's why we didn't get to see some of the Chandler and Conor stuff. I saw a little bit of it, of course, but it was immediately retracted, like maybe for like an hour or two when it was about to happen, and then there was no more. As we sit here and we talk about it, and once again, everybody watching, as you can see, Botkins and I are both in black. This is funeral attire. This is also almost like the death of the idea of the main event with Conor McGregor happening again. Dana White is a businessman first, and a genius probably second. He is, and when I say that to say this, because somewhere in his relationship with Conor, somewhere in his relationship with Michael Chandler, he has to make a business decision. And if something happened with either Conor or Chandler, whether it be physical, financial, maybe even mental, you know what I'm saying, whatever, he has to probably make the better decision. And the bait has been on the hook for this fight for what, a year and a half, maybe?
Yeah.
The Ultimate Fighter series was last year when we're
already in episode 1 of the new Tough. And
right.
This fight hasn't happened.
And I have to go back and watch that. I missed it yesterday, but we as fight fans were hyped for this for a very long time, and I can only imagine what type of money is at stake. And when someone like a businessman like Dana White says the bottom line and the numbers are going down, I'm sure he's kind of hot about it, bro. Sure, he's kind of hot.
Yeah, I think everything is going to be okay. They didn't do themselves any favors by not reporting on it. And Ariel made a point, though, too. It's like, if they don't put this presser out that they're supposed to have this big presser on Monday, we don't ever fucking know anything, right? Like, things happen, in camps all the time, right? Like, we learned that Islam had staff after the fight. There's, person got hurt in camp. This person did this. How many times do we learn that shit happened in camp all the time? Remember, like, O'Malley said he hurt his ribs going into the fight with Aljo. Couldn't wrestle the last 2 weeks. So injuries happen in camps all the time. If they don't have this presser and lined up, we probably never learn about this, and it's probably never a big stink about much ado about anything. But because they had this big presser, and the presser was sold out in Dublin, that alerted everybody as far as like, oh shit, there's something here. Where there's smoke, there's fire. But it seems like to be that the fire has been put out, and we are going to get the return of Conor and really might return to Mike Chandler too, because Mike Chandler hasn't fought in a year or and some change too. And Chandler's never, or not Chandler, but McGregor, for all senses purposes, he's never really, once he signed on a dotted line to fight on a date, he's never pulled out. So there's that.
I mean, look, when, just like you mentioned earlier, when you look at what is available for the fight itself, what's going on, who else is on the card, what's on the undercard. I mean, sometimes there is a fight that you could say, okay, the main card, the main event is out. We're going to move you guys up and put somebody else.
You can't do that on this card.
No, you can't.
There's not a title on this card. There's not a, you know what I mean? It's just, it's a typical, it's like this is the best version of a boxing card the UFC can do, is you got Conor headlining versus, so-and-so, and then we're just going to fill in the rest with some intriguing names and matchups.
Definitely. When I look at it, unfortunately, we're going to see the second coming of Jamal Hill, as we saw him lost to Alex Pereira. And somehow, some way, is that an intriguing fight that you could make a main event? Maybe not. Carlos Ulbrich, great fighter, 11-1 right now. Somebody that
that's not a main event on a pay-per-view. That's a main event on a fight night. You know what I mean?
That's what I was going to get to you. Is that a main event fight?
That's
maybe not. Maybe not.
That's a main event like this weekend. We're getting Cannonier versus Imanov. You're okay with that on a fight night? You ain't paying $80 to watch on a pay-per-view to watch a non-title fight that doesn't consider Conor McGregor on it, or what I mean.
And then as we can continue going down the list, it's exciting to possibly see one of Michael Venom Page's most toughest opponents.
MVP. Really, it's a tough matchup for Ian Gary too. Both matchups at 303.
Right. So I mean, it's somewhere in some way, shape, or form. This was top heavy, really, really top heavy. You, me, everybody else. We would sit through 2.5 hours of BS just to catch, 25 minutes worth of Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler, and rightfully so, rightfully so.
Yeah. We'll it looks like that fight's going to happen now, but let's rewind up. What's up, Sam? Let's rewind a little bit to last Saturday. And none other than, do you want to start with, should we go in chronicle order of the day? We'll start with the boxing on Saturday. Deontay Wilder, is Mama Wilder told him to hang it up after this. And I think he's got to listen to Mama Wilder with.
Oh man. I can honestly say that we gotta do this the right way, bro. We gotta do this the right way. Hold on. I'm gonna do something special real quick. Let's see. Can I?
Are you gonna say some kind words?
We might break YouTube for just a second, but hold on.
Reverend Witt here is gonna say some kind words about the career that was Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead, Witt. Say some kind words.
First of all, let me let y'all know something, man. There was a time when boxing was not alive.
Say it again, brother.
There was a time when boxing was not relevant in our heart.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And there was a brother who came from Alabama, way down in the deep.
All the way from Alabama, brother.
Used to play football, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo, used to play football.
But decided to pick up the gloves.
Picked up the gloves.
Out of respect for his daughter, he said, I need to feed my baby.
Needed to feed his baby.
And he made Team USA boxing.
Team USA on his chest.
Went out there, represented America.
Represented the US of A.
And then he took off the headgear and became champion. I'm talking about the Bronze Bomber, ladies and gentlemen.
The Bronx Bomber.
I'm talking about Deontay Wilder. I saw a lot of championship vigor through his career. He had to walk, he had to talk, he had to move, he had everything except for legs, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't have a little body there to represent.
He skipped leg day. Leg day.
Right. But a powerful right hand like none other. Absolutely. We saw him take out competition left and right. Fights wouldn't last 15, 20 seconds. Very reminiscent of what made us excited about Mike Tyson. You
don't have to turn the music down. We can't hear you.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna cut it off anyway. But anyway, it was really something that grabbed. It was a polarizing figure. We, as the American people, and I'm not just talking about black people, I'm talking about white people, boxing fans, we saw Deontay Wilder grow in that ring. And somewhere in his growth, one of the things that made me as a fight fan upset, as I watch boxing quite often, is I didn't see the addition of the skills that happened. You go, okay, well, he can fight. Where's the jab at? Where's his movement? Where's his lateral?
Where's
movement?
The legs at?
He got a gas tank. We know he's got a gas tank. We've seen him go to the championship rounds on numerous occasions. When he switched trainers and he got with Malik it's Malik Scott. Shout out to Malik Scott. I think that's a very good boxer for someone coming up because he has, mantras. He's got mental conditioning. He's got all kinds of stuff. But what Wilder needed was someone to train him physically into a style of fighting that was going to propel him forward as he kept going up the ranks, as he was knocking guys out. Now, let's keep it real. 10 title defenses is a lot, okay? 10 title defenses is a lot. But when you started to get to the point where you were going to have to fight Anthony Joshua, you're going to have to fight Tyson Fury. There were other guys who were coming up the ranks that would have possibly had the same type of fighting style, like Anthony Joshua, who can move and box, like a Tyson Fury, who's a huge man who can move and box. We didn't see that. We saw him rely heavily on putting his left hand in people's faces and somehow bringing that right to connect. And it hurt me, bro. It hurt me. I don't know what. I don't know if you watch the fight. I don't know what happened. I think he got hit.
He got hit. Looked at the ref. Was like, "What the fuck did that guy just hit me with?" And then got knocked out. That's what happened with.
The glove grazed his nose, and he turned around and was like this, like what? And then bam!
It was almost like it was almost like he got hit, like thought it was like an illegal blow or something. It was like he ain't supposed to hit me that hard. You know what I mean?
The thing is, they played it back. He didn't get hit. It grazed his nose. I think he broke his nose. Even just hitting if you've ever been to a fight, you hit your nose hard enough. Now you don't even got to hit it hard; it hurts.
It's like when you and your brother are fighting, and he just like when you get hit in the nose and your eyes start watering.
Yes,
and you're like, please don't hit me again. Like, hey, that's it. Like he was trying to.
He was like, whoa, wait, and he turned around.
The difference is he wasn't fighting his brother; he was fighting some big Asian motherfucker who was willing to knock his ass out.
Zhang does not speak any English or very male English. Okay, so he missed all of that part, and he just continue to connect with the fight. In boxing, when you step into the ring, one of the first rules that the referee tells you is protect yourself at all times. Where did that go? What happened? What happened? Like I saw it. I replayed it. He didn't get hit hard, if anything, but he turned around and the crowd's right here. He's like, come on, bam. Connection from Zhang, and I never seen him get knocked out like that. And his mom, God bless his mother and father are preachers. That's why we had the church music in there.
Mama Wilder said, "Hey, it's time to hang it up."
He proved his point, ladies and gentlemen. 10 years we have been watching Deontay Wilder bring us moments to the fight game that we couldn't replicate at the time. We had Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather put on a spectacle, but we had Deontay Wilder really knocking cats out.
Yeah, I said, unfortunately for boxing, and it seems like when you finally reach the pinnacle to where you're a household name, that's almost like at the tail end of your career more than the beginning or the middle of your career. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It took those Fury fights for him to really get known, to become a household name.
I mean, you got to think about it when, you got Helenius, Tyson Fury, Joseph Parker, who also lost on that card. There was, okay, let's think about it. All right, so Helenius, Tyson Fury twice. Luis Ortiz, he fought twice as well.
Ortiz beat Anthony Joshua, if you remember.
Ortiz beat Anthony Joshua. Tyson Fury, Bermane Stiverne, Gerald Washington, Chris Arreola. Like he was not fighting the smallest guys. He was taking out cats left and right. And I'm saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 title defenses, and one time when he first won the WBC heavyweight belt from Bermane Stiverne, like that still is big news, a big deal for a heavyweight champion. I think he proved his point though. He could do something. He's a boxer. He's one of the greats. Is he Lennox Lewis? Maybe not. Is he Mike Tyson? Maybe not. But in his prime, he was one of the most feared fighters on the planet, and we have to give respect to Deontay Wilder when we say his name. And we put him to rest today on the show as he lays his gloves down, because when Mama say it's over,
it's over. It's over. It's over. Yeah, you're exactly right. I'm with you. It's time. We knew that if he didn't win, So, real quick, we started the show talking about UFC 303. Conor McGregor posted a picture on his IG, and you can tell he's in a doctor's office. But he's got a big old smile on his face, and he's got the emoji with the thumbs
strong
up,
arms, the strong
arms.
arms.
Yeah. So it looks like all's good to go for none other than Mr. Notorious Conor McGregor. So maybe he got good news. It looks like good news to go for Conor.
Yeah, and we have to remember he's got the best doctors in the world probably looking at him. You know what I'm saying? But it's McGregor.
I said I said this is. So Ronald says Conor got topped off by the nurse. That's why he smiled. Hey, maybe he is. I said this: your body, if he did get hurt, your body can't go from cocaine and steroids to somewhat clean living in a fight camp and not break down. You know what I mean? So we got to remember that. But nonetheless, I do think we're going to get Conor versus Chandler. Let's get into 302 though. With and the card as a whole was kind of a snooze fest. I thought for the most part. Up until the main event, but couple nice wins here. I'm going to pull up the card here. For me, I thought Randy Brown had a huge win, and it's time for him to maybe enter the UFC. I don't know if he got ranked or should be ranked. Let me look at the welterweight class here. Welterweight. So Randy Brown didn't get ranked quite yet, but he's on the cusp of being ranked. And really, I would like to see Randy Brown go ahead and fight a guy who won on this card, and that's Kevin Holland.
In real life, bro, you make a lot of sense with that one. We, as a show, as fight fans, we love Kevin Holland, and to see Randy Gregory, rude boy, out here do his thing. I mean, I'm with testing the fighters with something worth it. You know what I mean? Like,
you just got to give me some credit. So I want some royalties for that band.
See, but seriously, with what we saw that night, he put on a show. He went out there. Randy Brown, he didn't get beat. When it comes time for us to actually say like what happened, I think this was a good one, a good showing for him to be on undercards going forward and rising up the ranks, most definitely.
Yeah, and like I said, Kevin Holland's 15 in welterweights. Kevin Holland, nice win. He gets knocked out and then breaks the dude's arm.
They was asking for it. I don't know. Yeah. If we saw you was watching it, I was watching it. In my mind, I was like, bro, please stop him, please.
Yeah, he didn't, and then he broke his arm. Now Olachek says his arm's not broken, and he's mad at Herb Dean for stopping the fight.
Yeah, let me tell you something, brother. Okay, your elbow only goes that way for just a short amount of time. Okay, so if it's not broken, he pulled it out of socket at least.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just being honest about it. So, but yeah, big shouts out to Kevin Holland. It truly and honestly looked like it was not going to go well for him if that fight would have continued. But Kevin Holland having the fight prowess, the awareness to realize, hey, he's going a little too trigger happy right now. Let me grab something. And this shows you the development of Kevin Holland. Because 2 years ago, when we saw the Wonder Boy fight, and when we were watching Kevin Holland in the Apex when COVID was happening, Kevin Holland wouldn't have thought of that at that time. So kudos to him and his team and his camps for developing him well to make him aware to think that way now.
Yeah, I said this on Sunday's show. I'm a big Kevin Holland fan. I love Big Mouth. I think he's just a fun fighter, but he's a guy that you don't think will ever win the title. Like, he's not a title guy, but he always be kind of a gatekeeper. He even alluded to that. Was like, hey, I'll continue to be the gatekeeper in the middleweight and the welterweight if you want me to. He's a guy that they can always call on to be on cards because he loves fighting, and he's a fun fighter. He's and that's the thing. He's never in a boring fight. I'll give Kevin Holland that. I think his most boring fight was Brunson, and Brunson just laid on top of him, and even then that was kind of entertaining because Kevin Holland just still kept talking shit even though Brunson was laying on top of him. So
right. that was a memory right there. And kudos as I'm looking at the UFC 302 card on UFC.com/events. I see he's splitting the performance of the night.
Yeah, with Islam and DP. So yeah. He did get performance of the night. Let's get to the co-main event, and that was Sean Strickland did what Sean Strickland does. That was you picked that wit. That fight pretty much went. It was kind of a boring fight. Even Sean, I love how Sean always hypes up these fights. We're going to go to war. We're going to go to war. Somebody's going to die in this ring, and then he puts on some of the most boring ass fights you've ever seen in your entire life. But he gets the W's. I mean, it's Sean Strickland is a decision fighter by the definition. He doesn't finish a whole lot of people ever, but gets the decision win. It was five. I don't know why it was 5 rounds. It was 5-0 Sean. In my mind, some ref, I don't know if he just mistakenly thought that Pablo Costa was Sean Strickland because he had it the wrong way. 50. I don't know if it was Stevie Wonder or maybe he was wearing the sunglasses that you're wearing, Whit. But there's no way Pablo Costa should have ever had that. Somebody should have scored that fight for Pablo Costa.
Listen, bro, I am with you on that one. I don't know what they were watching. I don't know how the fights happened. When I look at things that matter, like significant strikes, 182 to 158. That's a little bit of disparity. To me, although slightly boring, Sean Strickland is like
he's Floyd Mayweather in the MMA ring. Like just a defensive guy, that Philly shell. Like Floyd's never been in no bangers, you know what I mean? Like it's you appreciate it.
He's like I said, in scary movies, he's like a Jason Voorhees. He's walking to you. He's not really backing up. And
he's going to put you on your back foot.
Right. He's going to put you on your back foot, and you're going to
jab you to death.
Yeah, you're going to figure out whether you want to get hit in the face by that jab after a while. And I'll say this. I think Paulo Costa had a good fight plan, but when you let it go full-fledged and go, hey, all we're going to do is kick at his legs, or when you started getting them checked, them kicks checked, it changed your mind a little, bit.
Great, Rob.
Great analysis, Rob. Strickland is boring most definitely. But
he's a good fighter, but he's not a fun guy to watch. You know what I mean? He's a good fighter, but he's not a fun fighter. And I'll say this, like, to beat Strickland, you got to do what DDP did and just meet him in the center. Don't let him back you up. You know what I mean? You got to just, hey, we're going to stand in the center. We're just going to bang or not. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to back me down. Even he backed down Izzy. Like, Strickland gets the win. He says he's going to sit around and wait for a title shot. I don't know if I really believe him. And I don't know if beating Paulo Costa, who at that time is like ranked 7, if that earns you a title shot. What's your thoughts on that, Whit?
I mean, I'm on the same page as you, bro. When I think about what a title shot, where a title shot would land you, or rather, what fight would land you in title contention, I don't think it's Paulo Costa, bro. I'm just gonna be honest. Not to say Paulo Costa is not a fighter in which you could use as a stepping stone towards a championship fight, but nah, man, you got to get better than that. We got to see something different. We got guys who are chomping at the bit to fight right now. Jared Cannonier is one of them. Robert Whitaker is one of them.
If Whitaker, well, Izzy. So it looks like we're going to get Izzy versus DDP next.
Yes.
To me, if Whit beats Hamzat, I give it Whit over Strickland, and Jared Cannonier has a win over Strickland. Yes. So you know what I mean? Like he has a more of a gripe over Strickland. Like give it to Jared. If Jared wins this weekend, you know, I would give him confidence, and maybe he gets if DDP loses, maybe do Jared and DDP in the title fight. If Izzy wins, Izzy. If Sean Strickland has got to hope that Izzy wins, then he can say, hey, I'm next, because he's already beat Whit twice. He hasn't beaten me. So that's the hope there. And if I'm Jared Cannonier, I'm hoping that DDP wins, and then I'm probably next, because I have a win over Strickland, even though he already beat Robert Whitaker. So maybe Jared Cannonier, if he wins this weekend, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit, is should do next.
I'm also with you on that one. This weekend with the fight night competition coming up for Jared Cannonier, this is kind of be a litmus test to see if he's all the way back from and recovered. And then at the time of his injury, Cannonier was right up there for title contention, if not in front of Robert Whitaker, because of they're already having stance fight. Of course, somewhere above Sean Strickland because of what they did. So it's like it would have maybe put Cannonier at 2 or 3 at the lowest, but right now sitting at 4. We have to see what happens, because right now at middleweight, the next 3 big middleweight fights being both involving Robert Whitaker, the other involving Izzy and DDP. I mean, and Jared Cannonier this weekend. We're going to somebody's going to weed themselves out with a loss.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to take themselves
out. And if Hamzat beats Bobby Knuckles in a couple weeks, like he's got every right to say I'm next for the title.
Listen, and somewhere in there,
and the UFC will want to push him because they've been trying to strap the rocket ship to him since day one.
You took the words out of my mouth. We've been waiting to see Hamzat Chimaev return full force from being one of the scariest fighters in our post or during COVID era, and then all of a sudden, it's Ramadan. I got staff in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I spit in the street, and now I'm like detained. Whatever it was, what I'm saying? Whatever it was when he was home or when he was in the United Arab Emirates countries, that got him stuck there. It all seemed to hinder him being in where we thought he should be as far as the rankings are concerned. But still, having not fought for maybe a year and a half, he's at 10. Not so bad. He's in a prime spot to say, who after these 3 fights that we just talked about happen, let me at him. You know what I'm saying? Like let me get Jared Cannonier. Let me maybe get Robert Whitaker.
Well, Dana has come out and he said that this is a number 1 contender fight between Bobby Knuckles. But again, I think whoever wins that title fight in a couple weeks or at the back end of the year will decide that. But to answer Rob's question here, what's Pablo do now? He hasn't been the same since he lost to Izzy, on Fight Island, and when Izzy humped the shit out of him after he knocked him out. He keeps saying all this shit on Twitter. I mean, the Costa hasn't beat anybody in the UFC. Like currently in the UFC, he doesn't have a win against anybody on the roster. But that's a good question. So the person I'd like to see him take on, let's see, Costa is 8. A good name for him would be fellow Brazilian, either Michel Pereira or Caio Berrilho would be kind of the people I'm looking at. 2 guys that like to kind of stand and bang. Pablo's got to find that dog in him. Because he doesn't have it. He's too busy making memes on the internet Great Twitter handle, but I don't think he's going to be a title contender anytime soon, Rob.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Rob and shout out to Scott for the questions in the chat. I'm really somewhere in the same idea of if any up there goes my sources. Basically, Paulo Costa is going to be somewhere in that mix of hey, we gave it to you. They fed him at least 2 fights on a platter,
Yeah.
and he could have been top 3 if he would have won. The Israel Adesanya fight took him out of a lot of good spaces, I'm sure, with the matchmakers and Dana White. But can he stay in the top 10, or is he just going to fall completely out of it? We'll see.
Well, he's in the 8. He's 8 right now. That's why I said, Michelle Pereira, Kyle Behario would make perfect sense for him.
Yeah.
Because like they're up and comers. Hey, defend your spot. Try to be that gatekeeper. To answer Scott, Connor is fighting. All as well as what's being reported right now. If you want more analysts, rewind the tape a little bit. We talked about it at the top of the show.
Yeah. Thanks, Uncle Scott. Yeah, we gotta get you a new phone. Set that flip phone so you can look at Connor's Instagram and see that it kind of looks like he's getting a checkup and he's got a thumbs up. So it looks like the fight is still on. Although everybody was a little disappointed that we didn't get to see that presser in Dublin.
Yeah. We get to the main event with this fight.
Can I play some more funeral music?
we might need to. We might need to because, man, going into that fight I thought it was going to be over in the first 30 seconds. Once Islam took DP down and had him in that body triangle, I'm like, oh, shit, this fight's about to be over in 30 seconds here.
Yeah.
DP survives, and then I had it kind of 3-1 Islam going into the 5th. DP's pulling up the shorts as he loves to do. Islam's bleeding, and you're just thinking, man, maybe DP can get it. Islam looked tired a little bit.
Maybe.
But then he tries to take him down. DP's trying to get up, and then Islam just bolts out of a cannon and puts that Darce choke on him and really put DP to sleep. DP come to find out DP's got a broken nose and a partial torn ACL after the fight. Now, to me, I get, I don't know if that was his last fight. He doesn't know if it was the last fight. It's a lot to ask because now he's got the partial torn ACL. To me, going up against Islam, as good as he looked, you can still see that DP is one of the top 5 best lightweights in the world. But, to him, he's probably looking at it like, does he want to try to make another run at it? And a 4th crack at it. I don't know if another guy gets 4 cracks at a title. And it would be a 4th different person to him, but I just don't think that. I do think that might be the last ride for Dustin the Diamond Poirier. Your thoughts on the main event, Whit?
All right, man. Once again, excuse me as I break off into just a moment because this one hurt me just as much as I'm sure it hurt everybody else. Let's do it, man. Straight up. Let's see about it. Hold on. Let's lay me at the throne. Man. I remember watching Dustin Poirier
19 years old. 19 years old.
As a young man. And I was like, look at this guy, man. He's got everything. He's got hands, he's got feet, he could move, he could wrestle a little bit, but there's always somebody better than you, but you don't know when they're gonna show you. It hurt my feelings because it finally looked like he had it laid out, man. He had it laid out, and then all of a sudden it ended. I really, just to be real with you, I want to say this, and I want to say this. If you didn't watch that fight, this was an exhibition of will and heart. Dustin Poirier stood in there, took some clean shots. Islam stood in there, took some clean shots. I think somewhere in in the mental psyche of Islam Makhachev, he said, "I'm gonna beat this son of a gun standing up. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to." But Dustin Poirier was too good. He was too good, and you saw. Listen. I saw the frustration on his face when his nose was bleeding, and he said, I gotta end this now. Like, I don't know what you say in Russian, I don't know what you say, but he said, I gotta end this now. As soon as he caught that leg, you ever been frustrated with like your wife or somebody you wrestling with, and he just threw his leg and caught him and immediately put that Darce choke and folded him. That it was a way that you did a Darce choke I've never seen. He had his leg in a triangle, but had his neck around his arms, so it stops you from breathing either way. And bam, all of a sudden he was out. And it wasn't even all of a sudden he was out. He tapped and then he went down and was out and was like, wait, did it happen? And it did. I think that was Islam's toughest test, bar none.
Hardest test. I think my takeaways from that fight is, Eddie Alvarez said in an interview too, he's like, the difference between Khabib and Islam is Islam goes for finishes. Like, you know what I mean? But so he's more acceptable to losses because he opens himself up. And he dug down deep. So like I was like, that's definitely true. Islam does finish guys. Like unlike Khabib would just wear you out, Islam will go for the finish even the first, second, or third rounds.
Yeah.
I come taken away as like Islam's a dude for sure, but also he looked beatable. Like looked like you could, you know what I mean? There's points in that fight where you're like, man, but it just wasn't going to be Dustin Poirier.
And the thing is, as you say that, bro, if it's not Dustin Poirier, then who?
Well, it could be Arman Sarukian. That could be. That seems to be who's next. Now, Islam called out, said he wanted a shot at the 170 title.
Yes,
but that was pretty much shot down. And it looks like it's gonna be Arman versus Islam next at some point, maybe in November at the MSG card. In Islam, they've had one fight too. Islam it was a short notice fight and it was a close fight. Right. Arman has improved immensely since then. Yeah. So only time will tell. But I like that matchup, Arman Sarukian versus Islam.
I don't like that matchup, man. I'm gonna be real with you because I feel like Arman Sarukian is gonna fall into the trap. You're gonna fall. Yeah, you remember everybody's seen what is that, Predator 2? And they're on the train and the Predator's doing his thing and he's invisible and the headset's going, it's a trap, it's a trap, it's a trap. Yeah, it's a trap. Okay. You're gonna think Sarukian's gonna think he can wrestle. He's gonna swear he can wrestle. He's gonna remember the last 2 times he was wrestling. Then Islam round your neck. The thing that made Islam look human was Dustin Poirier kept him scrambling, did a lot of sprawling, did a lot of get off the ground, and and Dustin said he's been practicing getting off the mat for months. And you could tell that was his thing. Every time that Islam got him close to the cage, got his legs, he's been fighting to stand up for 4 months strong. If Arman Sarukian does not have the wherewithal to figure out that, hey, if I can keep this standing for as long as possible, that's in my favor. I think Arman Sarukian is a great competitor. I think that he'll try to wrestle Islam, and therein lies the trap. Period.
Yeah, and to wrap up Dustin Poirier before we look at just real quick this week's card before we get out of here. I mean, if that was the last ride that Dustin Diamond Poirier, he's a UFC Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever lace him up. He might be the best fighter in the world that had never won a legit, title. You know what I mean? Like he was the interim title, but not the, a unified title. He might be the best to ever do it. And such a great guy. I mean, you know what I mean? Like that's what he gives back to his community, the type of person he is. Hey, tip the cap to you, Diamond. A hell of a career if that was it. So,
and before we go on, let's just look at some of these names of the people that he's fought that are like already slated to probably be, Hall Hall of Famers are
Again,
all Hall of Famers.
who's who?
You know, the who's who. Eddie Alvarez. You know what I'm saying? Eddie
Two
Alvarez.
times.
Max Holloway. Dan
Two
Hooker.
times.
You know, what we got? Michael Chandler, of course.
Conor McGregor 3 times.
You know, then we go further down and we look at, you know, Pablo Garza. Max Holloway again. Cub Swanson. I remember that fight, even though he lost it. That was a great fight. Eric Koch. Like, there's a list of people who he has fought more than once, some several times, and you can't have a better resume, is what I like to say. You can't have a better resume in that division. You know, interim champ, BMF title winner. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey man, let's kudos to him if he puts the gloves down. You know, I think me and you had a conversation about it before. When you start talking about your kids in post-fight conversations, that's it. And I love it though. I got kids now. You know what I'm saying? Same thing for Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder was like, you know, I fought for my daughter. I've been fighting for my daughter, blah, blah, blah. Go live with her now, bro. You got millions of dollars.
Yeah, we get into let's look at the this week's card. Again, we talked about it already. Jared Cannonier, who is trying to get into the title picture. He's the number 4 ranked middleweight. He's coming off the long injury, the long layoff. I'm trying to think. The last time we saw Jared, he beat the mess out of Marvin Vettori. That was
he beat Vettori.
Almost a year ago.
Down.
Almost a year ago.
Almost a year. Yeah.
June 17th. And he's taking on, you know, Nasruddin Imanov, who's ranked number 7. So Imanov's trying to, enter himself into the title prediction. Imanov is, he lost to Sean Strickland, had a no contest against Chris Curtis, did beat Roman Dolidze back in February. So, but nonetheless, who do you like? Who do you like winning this one, Whit?
To be honest with you, man, this is a toss-up for me because I think me and you might have watched it or were talking about it. I don't think we did. We're doing head kicks and haymakers at the time, but I think we might have talked about Jared Cannonier and what's my guy that he beat up? Vettori, yeah, Vettori, right? Because Vettori was coming up in the rankings. Vettori was looking scary. I remember he had a couple good fights, and then out of nowhere, Jared Cannonier treats him like a rag doll, gets him out, and it was crazy to see. I am in the mindset that you have to test yourself in several different ways in order to prove that you are who you are. This will be Jared Cannonier's test. Can he come back from injury? Does he still have the same focus? Will he fight unwavered by his past injuries? Because just like any sport, basketball, football, you got the ACL tear, you scared to plant your knee when you see that linebacker. When you got that MCL sprain or that Achilles tear, you're not ready.
Here's the dog on this card at plus 100 too.
Right. Yeah. You worried about dunking in basketball. You got that ACL tear or the Achilles tear. Just ask Kobe or Kevin Durant. So will you go into the fight and be free? And that's what we want to see from Jared Cannonier. I'm actually running with Cannonier on this one. I like comeback stories, and I think that this will be one for me to ride with the guy, the killer gorilla from Manila. Not necessarily from Manila, but definitely Jared Cannonier. I'm riding with this one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm going to go with the upset and killer gorilla, the betting dog on this one. This card also offers Dominic Reyes in a comeback fight. Reyes has lost his last 4. He's taking on Dustin Jacoby, who's trying to enter the rankings at light heavyweight. And hopefully I'd like to see Dominic Reyes finally get right. He hasn't won a fight since he fought John Jones. He's had all sorts of health issues. He's had some all types of things. I'd like to see him. Raul Rojas Jr.'s on this card as well.
The scariest young man alive.
He's taking on the ever game Ricky Taricos is on this Rojas Jr.'s minus 235, but I would sprinkle a little money on Ricky. I think Ricky could pull that upset. And your favorite guy, Brad Katona's on this card. Huge favorite at minus 725 though on the
man.
prelim.
You know me, man. I'm really with the Brad Katona train. Straight up and down serial killers. When I think of guys like Brad Katona, it takes me back to what I originally got caught up in. Definitely watching UFC, the Cub Swansons, Brad Katona. I'm trying to think it's somebody else I'm picturing in my mind that really was on that too. But definitely Brad Katona, two-time Ultimate Fighter champion. I don't think he gets his just due. But he's going up against a tough guy. Jesse Butler in his last fight lost. Both of them actually coming back from losses in this one. And somehow, some way, let's see if Brad Katona's heart plays out in this one and see and puts him on top, and because these bantamweights are scary, folks. They don't do nothing but stand and bang and pause.
Yeah, and like I said, Katona is the heavy favorite at minus 725. So I think he's probably the biggest favorite. Actually, he is the biggest favorite on the card Thursday on Saturday night. I think Brad gets it done. There's actually a guy at the dispensary I go to. He looks like Brad Katona, so I fear for him. But nonetheless, a good fights lined up Saturday, headlined by Jared Cannonier. I'd like to hopefully see the Killer Gorilla get back on track in this, figure out this middleweight division. It's getting a little murky here as far as who could be next after we get DDP and Izzy. So,
hey, another one just to keep our eyes out for the Julian Marquez and Zachary Reed's fight. At middleweight, I want to say Zachary Reese. I've got a chance to watch some stuff on him when he was in a smaller promotion. Pretty good guy to watch if you want to see some striking. So let's keep an eye on that. And of course, Julian Marquez once again out here doing his thing. Really tough fight. I can't wait to see what the competition is like between the two of them. So let's keep our eyes open for that one as well, as it is on pretty much the bottom of the main card.
Yeah. All right. It's been a great show. Another great episode of Heakicks and Haymakers. What you got going on the rest of the week before we get up out of here?
All right. So everybody knows what's going on. Tomorrow is the beginning of the NBA Finals, where the Boston Celtics will be facing the Dallas Mavericks later on this week, possibly on Sunday night or Monday, because we have to see how the games go. I think the set game 2 is on Sunday. Maybe on Monday night we'll be getting ready for the LTS in the Hoop Show finals wraps, where we're just going to do games 1 and 2. And then other than that, man, I'll be ready to talk more fights on Wednesday. And see after we see what Connor does, I'm sure by something will change by next Wednesday. So I'm definitely going to be ready to get back in here Wednesday and top it up with you, bro.
Yeah, most definitely. Next week we can maybe even do a little bit our own H&H power rankings. So we'll try to get in. Yeah, it's about that time to get into that as well, because that was a topic of conversation. Islam said give him he feels like he's the number one. Dana said no. John Jones is still
John Jones to James eyes.
So nonetheless, we'll maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that next week.
It's crazy, man. Who knew that after all this time, half the year will be gone, and we're still talking about John Jones. Still.
Yeah. Well, it looks like that fight's going to happen against Stipe in November, hopefully.
Hopefully so.
But nonetheless, this has been another great episode of Heakicks and Haymakers. I'll be back tomorrow night with the boys on the LTS show, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. We'll see you then. Be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. I'm going to hit that outro. We'll see you then, folks. We'll be back.
Who's having the chicken wings?
We'll be back next week, 8 o'clock Central, for another episode of Heakicks and Haymakers. See you then.
Peace.